Hello, everybody. Welcome to Soundings with Sash. How are we doing this evening? If you joined, say hi in the comments. If this is a replay, push hashtag replay. I would love for you to let me know if you stopped by and where you're from. And thank you for joining me this evening. I have a wonderful guest tonight. I'm so excited for you to hear her journey. It's a transformative journey, and we all could use a good story of goal setting and transformation and goal setting before the new year, right? So if you have comments, say hi. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. So I am so excited for our guest, and I have just met her recently, not too long ago, and we've connected, and I'm going to let her tell you about herself just a little bit. And I'm really excited to have her on the show. So I'm going to add her now. Her name is Rose Dauphin. And hi, Rose.
Hey Sandy, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Although it's raining here in Melbourne.
Is it? Is that where
It
you're joining
is.
us from? Awesome. So, hey, Jay. Hey, Aiden. The last name looks a little familiar.
Yeah,
You
that one
sure?
does, doesn't it?
and they're kind of coming from some other places, correct?
That's it. Exactly.
Yes. So, Rose, I've just gotten to know you recently and
Yes.
so excited that we've linked up and had a friendship. And we have journeys. We all have journeys, right? And hearing your story is very inspiring. And I really want you to share your journey with us. So, tell us about yourself.
Alrighty. Well, I married for 21 years. I have two boys. They are 17 and 19.
Oh,
I am a event manager for one of the Australia's leading universities. So a busy person, really. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. Yes, these days are this year. How have you been doing during Dimension 2020? As I would say,
Mm.
how's that going for you?
Well, not many events happening in 2020. So my job role had changed a lot, but very learning a lot of different things this year.
Yes,
And
like
it's resilience too, isn't it? I mean, you just keep on bouncing from one thing to the next.
that's right. That's right. So I I'm going to go ahead and before you tell your journey, you sent me a couple photos.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me sharing, I'm going to show a couple photos because she's going to talk about her transformation. But we're not just going to talk about the physical transformation. We're also going to talk about the inner person transformation as well. So I'm going to show you a picture that she sent me of her before. So there's one photo.
So that sort of shows almost sort of a few months apart, and you can sort of see the change in me as you sort of go along.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah.
So
So
the first one is the beginning, the
yeah.
middle. It's how many, like 1 month apart, you said?
There's probably about 3 months in there, but
Okay.
yeah, per photo. But yeah, there's a
Okay.
lot of change.
Wow. Wow. That is so awesome. And so I will let you, I'm just gonna, oops. I don't know why that did that. So what I'm going to do is there we go. So what I'd like you to do, if you don't mind, is kind of tell
Mhm.
us where you started. So that is a before picture. Of course, we see you now. So
Yeah.
I'll show the other photo a little bit later in the show. But tell me how your transformation started. What was the beginning of that story? What was the beginning of you wanting to make a transformation?
Well, my mum turned 50 and she had a heart attack and needed a quadruple bypass, and which actually caused also multiple strokes. Now she was not overweight at all. It was just pure gene pool. And seeing her through that and thinking that that is a huge health risk for me, And currently at that time I was 330 pounds. So about 151 kilos. So that was really my turning point, was like, I can't put my family through this, because it was such a big ordeal for me. It actually left me with some PTSD afterwards. So I had to deal with that.
Wow.
It's
So question, I mean, was that that was your tipping point? So what
Yep.
year was that? When, what month, what year?
Oh, she had the I couldn't even tell you what year she actually had it, but that was the point where I sort of went, okay, I'm going to have to do something. But I had I probably should sort of go on to my whole story. So I ended up having gastric sleeve surgery. So
Okay.
I decided Boxing Day 4 years ago
Okay.
that
Tell
to
us
do
Americans
this.
what Boxing Day is, because we
Oh,
don't
okay.
know this, by the way.
26th of December.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, which is Boxing Day here, which means Boxing Day sales for people that don't know.
Okay. But
But,
what does the boxing mean? I'm just curious.
I have no idea, to be honest. Maybe we need to look that up. But it's like the Black Friday sort of sale type day,
It's a Black
after
Friday.
Christmas. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So our Black Friday. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So decided that day, no, this is it. I'm doing this. I saw the surgeon in January. I started my diet in January. Between January and June, which is when I had my surgery, I lost 20 kilos myself.
Oh, okay. And how many pounds is that?
Okay, so that is almost 50.
50. Wow. So you had already
Almost 50.
started the journey of
Yep.
losing the weight. Okay.
So I dropped all sugar, I dropped all carbs. I was doing veggies and shakes for 6 months by that point. I was very determined, very
Okay.
determined.
Right.
Yep.
So let's talk about that, because I always talk about mindset, and I always talk about mindset change, and how that is really the shift of you transforming. You making that just one mindset, like, okay, this is, so at the time, your reason was because of your mother's health, and you didn't want to carry that on, and you wanted to be around for your children. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a mindset shift. And so if you were going to give advice to somebody before they make that mindset shift, what would you say to them?
If they haven't sort of made it yet, I'd really want them to do it. Like, I literally want to stop some people in the street and say, look, I've been where you are. I know how hard this is, but
Yeah.
man, life gets easier. Things don't hurt as much. So many different things happen to you during this journey. And you just want to say, just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
Just
be
do it.
scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you
I think
can.
we all have
You
that.
can do it.
That's right. Yes, you can. I have I had a weight loss journey as well. Not as, but mine was when I was on vacation, and I saw a plastic chair that I knew it was a plastic chair, and it was one of those little cafe tables with the umbrella, and it was alongside a little creek. And I saw the little table and the chair. And as we were going to be seated there for lunch, I told my sister at the time, I said, I can't sit there. And she said, why? What do you mean? And I said, I can't sit there. She said, why? I said, because I'm going to be embarrassed when I get up out of the chair, because the chair is going to stick to my butt, and I can't press down on this cafe table because I will knock it over, and then I'll cause a whole big scene. So she was just like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? And I was like, I started crying, and I said, I can't sit there. And she was like, I don't understand. I'm like, you're right. You don't understand. And I said,
and they don't.
I said, you don't understand. I said, do you know how embarrassing and shameful that would be if that happened? I said, and I can see it happening before I even sit in that chair. And she was just like, oh my God, I didn't know. And I was like, I know you didn't know, But that was my mindset shift change. It took that moment for me to do it. But it took that moment for me to make that mindset shift. That was the day I said, we have to change this. I can't be this size anymore. It just
But
isn't.
how many
Mm,
of those things do we avoid
yeah.
because we know that that doesn't work for us? And
Yeah.
then, but it becomes our normal. Like what I realized was how many things am I missing out on that I
Yeah.
never thought I was missing out on because I just avoided them.
Yeah. I had a surgeon. I went to go see a surgeon for a knee issue. And he goes, "How long have you had the knee issue?" And I'm like, I don't know, a long time. And he's like, "Okay, when was the last time you took a bath?" And he just made me think of one simple thing. He goes,
Mm-hmm.
"When was the last time you got in the bathtub and took a bath?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." Did not realizing I had shifted everything I've done and not taken a bath because I couldn't get in the bathtub and I couldn't get out. But I also had that extra weight on me as well. I still haven't got the knee fixed, but that was another added thing that said, you need to lose weight, honey. You need to lose weight. You're shifting things to fit you. Like anytime anybody would say, "Where do you want to sit?" I'd be like, "A booth, a booth."
And
Like you
even
don't
then,
want to
I get
sit.
worried between the table and the booth thing.
Mhm.
There's that gap, and I'm like, am I gonna get in there, and am I gonna get
Yeah.
out again?
Yeah. Yeah. So Randall's got a story too where he says he couldn't sit in a booth.
Yeah,
There you go. Very good. Keep going, Randall. It's worth it, you know.
yeah.
So
So is
so when you started that journey, and you lost the 50 pounds, I mean, how did you feel even after the 50 pounds?
well. By that point, I was going, do I really need the surgery? Can I do this on my own without the surgery?
Right.
Because I'm thinking I'm doing it. But it
Right.
was it was it was really strict. Like I was. But in saying that, I haven't had a French fry since that point. I haven't eaten one. So it's like I'm not eating that anymore. I'm not eating pasta and I'm not eating rice. Like I've just made those calls that I don't want to start because I know that's my weakness and I will keep
Right.
going.
Right.
So I just made a thing not eating, just not
Wow.
doing it.
Wow. And how did the doctor encourage you? I mean, before you even started the surgery. I mean, was he very pleased with your result and, you know?
Absolutely. And they sort of say, you've got to drop that weight quickly at the start to drop it off your liver because I was starting to get a fatty liver. And they
Yeah.
need to hold the liver out of the way when they do the surgery. So if you have a fatty liver when they get in there, they may not be able to do the surgery. So
Right.
that was an added thing. But I think knowing that you're having the surgery keeps you on track because you sort of think, oh, this diet's not sustainable, but I'm having the surgery so I can keep going.
Right. That's great. So what was included in your decision making of what type of surgery you were going to have? Because there's many different ones. So
A
why was that
lot of
one?
it, yeah. A lot of it was down to my surgeon because he takes into consideration what you've done in the past, what you're doing currently, and
Mhm.
your weight, your age, and all of things like that. So it was the gastric band, which is the band that goes around your stomach, is a little bit sort of old school, I guess. Now they don't tend to do a lot of that.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't want that one because it was reversible. So
Right.
technically, I could go back. And if you
Right.
do all that work, I don't want to go backwards. I know a lot of people that have done that and gone back to where they started.
Right.
Um, the sleeve, should I sort of explain what it is?
Yes, please. Yes.
Um, they literally, so your stomach is sort of a round thing, and they take 3/4 of that stomach and they remove it. So
Yeah.
currently, my stomach runs like that. It's just a pipe. So
Yeah.
I only have a little tiny tummy that doesn't fit as much in it. And
Okay.
they also remove all the hormones and that in there that make you hungry. So you don't get as hungry as what you did before, which is definitely the help.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the one that was suggested for me. And the other one is a bypass, which is where the food will totally miss your stomach. So they'll reattach it down towards your bowel. So then your food doesn't actually go into your stomach at all.
Okay.
But that's a bit more extreme and probably for people that are more overweight than I was.
Right. So I mean, I just have a question about, as you journeyed towards getting that weight to start, what was your, what was your teenage to 20s to children, what was that like? What was your journey like there?
Look, I was always an overweight person. When I met my husband at 16, I was a size 16. And I went from a size 16 to a size 24 after having my kids.
Okay.
But I would not know myself under a 16
Oh, okay.
as a kid. Yeah, I couldn't tell you when I was under a 16.
So you were just kind of comfortable at that level.
Yeah, and I was just,
Right.
it was always me. And
Right.
it was me. Like, I was happy with that. It's not like I wanted to be skinny. I mean, we all want to be skinny, but it's not something that I had to do. Or
Well, you said so in your genetics and your genetic makeup, you thought, okay, my mom is, so I'm supposed to be, or I'm going to be. So do you have siblings that were also, or were you all around the same sizes, or?
No, I was the biggest. Everybody else, yeah,
Okay.
was skinny. So
Right. Yeah. I was the bigger sister right. So
that's
I was
always
always,
fun, isn't it?
yeah, I was always the 12, 14, so I always just assumed that was how I was supposed to be. So I was just like, that's how I'm supposed to be. That's how I made, and I didn't really realize that it had a lot to do with my family's dietary intake. Like, I had no idea, because that's not how I was taught, that it really had to do with what I was eating. It totally 100% had to do with the food. Like, I thought, nope, this is the way I'm made. Nope, this is the thing. And I'm always going to be this way. So it kind of blows your mind when you figure out, oh, I've not been eating the right way. Like,
Yeah. And
I would
even
watch
if
my
you think you're
friends,
eating
I'd be
good,
like, what are you eating? Like, what are you eating? I need to eat like you. So, so I would just be like, like, I really thought that everybody had one pot meals with potatoes, meat, and bread. Like, that's just what you ate, right? Pasta or meat and bread, right? I mean, isn't that the way you're supposed to eat? And vegetables were, for me and my family, were in a can, or they were never freshly prepared, or they tasted awful. So right. So, I mean, that comes around it all. Now, emotionally, like you said, you had PTSD, you mentioned that. So tell me a little bit about that journey, the PTSD, how you coped with that, and really along the journey, how you dealt with any triggers or anything like that emotionally. Where did you start from?
it was extreme, is the easiest way to explain that. Went from being completely fine to completely not fine.
Okay.
But I guess, without sort of going into details of too much of what that sort of led to, it taught me who's in your life for the right reasons, who's going to support you right through, and that you can get through even when you think it's rock bottom and it's just not going to get better at any time. It can, and it will.
Yeah. So,
like, if I think back now, my life has changed so much.
Right. Do you think it's changed just because of your shift in thinking more than even the weight part?
Yeah, I think so. And this is a question I ask myself all the time. So you get different reactions from people, different job opportunities, all these things. Now, is that because of the weight loss or because my attitude shift?
Yeah.
Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like,
chicken
is
or
it a
the
bit
egg?
of both? No idea.
It does coincide, I think.
Yeah.
I think it coincides. Once you made that mindset shift, you freed yourself up away from the baggage that kept you before the mindset shift, right? So that's where we need to get. So So did you have a diary, a journal? Did you do something to reach your goal? Did you write it down? Did you, mark it in your phone? I mean, how did you stay successful on that first even 50 pounds?
No, I didn't do that. And looking back, I wish I had. I'd wished I'd video diaried it or something like that, because I think that would be really interesting to look back on. But I did have an app in my phone that I would put the weight in.
Okay.
My Fitness Pal, I think it is.
Yep.
That
My
I'd
fitness
use.
pal,
Yeah.
my favorite buddy. Yes.
Yeah. That
Yes.
just so you can see the graph,
Right.
and what it's doing. So that sort of just kept me on target that way. But it was literally like I was weighing every 3 days. Like it was
Wow.
very full on. Yeah.
Right. Right. So was there
Way too
anything,
much
I
weight.
mean, okay, so one of the think about like your worst day that you were like, "Oh, I'm so tempted to not eat this way. I'm definitely want it." What did you do to counter that? I mean, how did you think, or how did you conquer that day?
It sounds really odd, and I probably didn't have too many of those, because by the time I got to that point, I was so focused on it.
Okay.
It was like that switch was almost like an absolute light moment, where that's what I was doing, and that was it. We joke that
Yes.
the day that I got into my surgery, I was that pumped about it, I could have done it myself. Like that's a joke that we do, because I was
Great.
literally like, I'm going in there, let me just get this done.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I
Yes.
had things set up. So I'd prep my meals. I would have sugar-free lollies available because I know I was allowed them. They were my treats, so it's about not feeling deprived. So I had all
Okay,
those
so
sort of things
sugar-free
set up.
lollies are lollipops, right? Like, I need
So
to.
lollies, so literally like hard-boiled lollies, yes, or a lollipop, but no sugar in them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always
Just
know there's like
difference thing.
a vocabulary difference
Yeah,
somewhat.
there is. Yeah.
So,
So hard-boiled sweets. Yeah.
okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Or
like,
sugar-free chocolate, or
yeah.
but the
Oh,
sugar-free
nice.
option.
Sugar-free. Okay. Do you still carry that on? I mean, do you still do sugar-free?
And no, I mean,
No.
sometimes when I'm trying hard to cut back and to do it, but I
Mhm.
allow myself the sugar and things now. But instead of having like the whole family bag of M&Ms, which is what I would have done before, or the bucket of
Right.
M&Ms, I
Yes.
will have the little bag of M&Ms.
Yes.
But the fat brain still exists,
Okay. Yeah.
so I will still overeat.
Okay.
I will sit in front of the TV and I will watch a movie and I'll eat. And then
Oh,
I will all of a sudden go, oh, that don't feel so good.
right. Because after the surgery, you can only eat like, what is it, a shot glass or something
Yeah,
small
it's
like
about
that?
hand size. So
Hand
yeah,
size. Okay. Wow.
yeah,
Okay. So now it's changed even just the volume that you can eat. So
yeah,
when I was when I was a health educator, there are people that are just their propensity just to eat sweets, or their propensity to be volume eaters. So they're either volume eaters, like I had a patient that could just eat like caramel popcorn, the huge sizes,
yeah,
so she did both. She did the sweet and the volume, and it's kind of like, trying to get someone out of that mind shift, like you said, it's a mindset change on what your goal is. So if you're going to want to inspire somebody in reaching a goal, whatever it may be, not just weight loss, but anything, is there a quote, or is there something that sticks with you that gets you forward, that makes you go for it? Is there something that you can share with our audience that you grasped and grabbed onto?
I think the biggest thing is to start with one thing and conquer that first. Like, don't go, oh, I have to change everything. And this is with anything that you're trying to achieve, but say it
Right.
is your diet, cut out one thing, cut out your toast in the morning, cut out your morning toast and change that to something else. Like, that's it. Just do that. And once you've got that
Right.
into your rhythm, add something else. Cut out, I'm
Yes.
not going to drink fizzy drink. today.
Right.
You know, just
Right.
one at a time, and then it doesn't seem such a overwhelming experience.
That's a great advice. That's exactly. It's one day at a time, one meal at a time. And that's what I
Hmm.
used to tell my patients. It's one meal at a time. You know, you're only, say like the holiday season right now that's on us. And of course we celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is a huge food day for us. You could actually consume
Yeah.
12,000 calories in one day, with all the different
Every
foods.
holiday is a food holiday. It's
Yes.
ridiculous.
Yes. And so I used to share with them, cut out, you don't have to eat that one holiday meal just this year. Reach your goal. Don't, you can miss out one time, like one holiday, one birthday, one anniversary, because there will always be events that there's going to be food
Yeah.
at,
Yeah.
but I'd be like, just take this time for yourself, because what you're doing is you're refocusing on your goal, not focusing on the holiday food. Focus on the holiday, the people.
Yeah.
Focus on your loved ones who you're going to be with. So let me ask you about that. When you went through this transformation, how did your family react? I mean, how did your friends and
Oh,
family react? Yes.
it was such a mixed bag. So
Yeah.
I lost friends during it because they were used to being let me say it's sort of like the hot friend when we go out, and they didn't like me getting attention from the opposite sex when we went out, and they
Oh.
don't go out anymore. So
Oh
that was
no.
interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, my family weren't used to seeing me at a different size, and they were worried about me losing so much weight. So, they were sort of saying, "Oh, you need to eat more." And that would sort of play with my head a little bit because I didn't want to eat more because I'm trying to keep on track. And so that
Right.
was really hard.
So
Um,
did you learn tricks on how to do that? Because I have some advice if anybody needs tricks on that. You always
oh,
walk
share.
around with a full glass and a little plate that has
Little plate.
3 different things on it, little things like vegetables,
Mm,
whatever. If you're walking around and talking to your people, your family, and you have those 2 things in your hand, guess what they're not going to offer you? They're not going to offer you a
my
drink,
food.
and they're not going to offer you the food.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, it works. If you have a weight loss goal and you're going to a family function, that's how you keep them at bay, because they see that you have food on your plate and they see you have a drink. So absolutely do that. You'll be surprised how it works, because
Yeah.
nobody will offer you anything, and you'll be like, and they won't force you either, because you're like, oh, I've got something. Fine. You could even say you didn't want to eat the dessert, put a little bit of that dessert on your plate. Like, don't eat it, but put it on there. But anyway, that's
Mm.
just my health
But you know
educator
what?
tip of the
Even if you
day.
want to eat it, dessert wise, Christmas food,
Right.
when you go to serve that up, if you really want to eat it, but just don't put as much on your plate. Don't have
Right.
as much.
Right. That's
Grab that big hunk and then go, do I really need that? Let's halve that and put that on the plate. It's the
exactly.
easiest way to do it is to start to think a little bit less.
Yes. 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 Thank you. So okay, going back to the
Yeah.
so how did you deal with that? I mean, how did you deal with the aftermath? What emotions did you feel when you first saw yourself in a different way? Like, I want to know how you
Oh,
felt.
I think it's still very weird where you can see your reflection and actually not recognize yourself, and it's still that, as
Yeah.
we change, and now I'm getting more confident with my size, and I'm trying different clothes because before I knew what looked good and that doesn't look good anymore, so we're changing what I'd normally wear, and
Yes.
it's actually not easy to deal with, and people look at you differently,
Yeah.
and even I went out to dinner the other day with my husband, and I go, why are those people looking at me? He goes, because you look amazing. And I'm
Oh,
like, what?
yeah. I was
Like
going to ask. So, how did your husband respond to all of this?
he he's watching now, so I've got to be careful what I say. No, no, he's I mean, he was very supportive. He's great through
Very
the whole thing,
supportive.
but
That's great.
but he was a bit jealous. He's like, don't be naive, like these people are seriously checking you out. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Have I spilled something on my top? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
He's like, no. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really hard to sort of, I know that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Oh, it's hard to
No,
be,
it
but
doesn't.
it's
It
weird.
doesn't. Wow, no. Okay, so we missed some comments here. So Randall says you look great.
Oh,
He
thanks,
was
Randall.
he was an emotional eater, and Michelle says very inspiring. Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks.
So yeah, the advice of just the smaller and oh, thank you, Michelle. But we all there's always something. So what is your so he was very supportive. I mean, and if you don't, you shared
Come
with
on.
me a little bit this week
Yeah.
about the dumb things that people say, and they
Oh,
say
yeah.
the dumbest stuff. And
Yeah.
they don't recognize that they say these things, and you're just
No.
like, you look at them like, wow. Like I had so many people go, oh my gosh, you look so amazing, and I'd be like, not to you, Michelle, but like before, friends that I had that always would tell me that I looked fine, and then when I lost the weight, they like were like over the top, and I'd be like, wow, I
Yeah.
must really look bad. Like, and it does
No.
something to your head.
Yeah.
Because then
So,
you don't believe. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
you kind of like grab onto do I believe their compliments now or not? Like,
yeah. My
hmm.
absolute classic was I had someone come up to me and go, oh my God, you look amazing. Your husband must be so happy. And I was like,
Gosh.
excuse me? Like, you just want to just slap them. Like, what do you mean? My husband was happy before. He's still happy. Like, what's the problem here?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And
But look,
I know you have kids. So you have boys, and like I do. So what was how did they respond?
they were, Mum, you're mum, but you're just different. You're still the same,
Oh,
but you're just a bit different, is how they would describe it.
oh,
Because they see the change gradually too. And it's not
okay.
until you sort of look back on the photo, they're like, oh, wow, Mum. But the whole family, we've changed our eating and our exercise habits. So
Yeah.
it's been good for them too.
I was going to say, did you implement new dietary things in the house? And wow. Did it inspire any of them to like do something different?
My kids are doing really well. Like they're doing some exercises and things, but it's my sister and one of her friends have both had gastric sleeve since mine.
Oh, okay.
And actually, a work colleague has as well over this Christmas,
Oh
during this sort of
my.
break. So
Wow.
I'm becoming a bit of an inspiration, which is fun.
Yeah, you definitely are. You definitely are. And that's why I wanted to have you on here, because I wanted to hear your story and in how you journeyed through. Now, I know that it all is great and lovely, but then there's some other things that kind of goes, can be, the real emotions. So taking me through, you were this size, you got to your goal. And I know you've been 4 years post out, right?
Yeah, 3.5 we worked
Three
out. I
and a
had to
half.
sit down and work it out. Yeah.
Yes. So what emotional challenges have come, and then what did you do about it? Like, what things have come and kind of because people, on the show, I want to be real. I want to be authentic and saying, hey, it sounds great. Yes, get to your goal. But
perfect.
we're people,
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
if you had something, in the midst of that, how did you deal with it? And, what would you tell someone who, yes, you went through this transformation, but did you hit a speed bump? I call them speed bumps. So we hit speed bumps sometimes, slows us
All
down.
the time.
So then sometimes when you hit that speed bump, what happens? You have to slow down, get over it, and refocus. Like you can't just keep breezing through stuff. So, Can you think of a time or something, that you'd like to share
Well, I
through a
think
speed bump moment?
my surgeon said to me, you will always be that fat girl that will fight her weight. Always. It's never going to change. That is your genetics.
Oh, so he said it was genetics. Okay.
So that's just it. I would have been great in like the 1920s where you weren't fed as well and you kept your weight. That's fine. That's what I'm bred for. But I'm no good in this time. So basically too much accessibility to food. But
I know, I love those big dresses with the little things. Oh my gosh, I would have been great in that time.
I would have too. Yeah, they people opening the doors, very lady. It was great. I would have loved that. Anyway, going back.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back, girl.
Yeah, sorry. It's up in the 20s. So we all are gonna stuff up. Like we're always gonna have that piece of cake. We're always gonna drink that wine. We're always gonna do those things. But that's okay. It's about that refocus time.
Yeah.
So like I went right back and lost the 176 pounds that I lost. So,
wow.
And then I gained 22.
Okay.
So, and which they say is about normal during that surgery. You're going to go, but it's about losing the right amount at the start. So when you gain a bit, it sort of balances out. But then as that number starts creeping up, you think, oh my God, I'm screwed. Like it's just going to keep going.
Right.
Like that, I'm not going to be able to stop this. So you had to sort of go, okay, what are you going to do?
Right.
Like, do you want to be back there? No, hell no.
No.
So get your focus on, girl. What do you need to do? I need to prep my food again. I need to do that every Sunday. I need to make sure I drink the water. I need to make sure I do some exercise. All of those things.
Yeah.
Or at least one of those things.
Right. Yes.
Okay. So even if I'm thinking, no, that's too much, I can't do that. One of those things, which is normally the meal prepping for me, because if I can be organized, I won't eat the rubbish.
Yes. Because
that weight loss I did with no exercise, by the way. Zero exercise. It was just food.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's refocus. Right. So as a health educator, it's 80-20. So it's 80% food, 20% movement. Even without exercise, if you're just moving, like if you did more activity, moving activity, at least 20 to 30 minutes a day, you could change the whole thing. You don't have to join a gym. You don't have to do all that because it's 80% your food. So like you're saying, meal prep is a success tool. And then portion control, meal prep, portion control, and your environment of food. So if you can't eat it, don't bring it in your house. Don't buy it. Don't bring it in your house. If you have a family, which most people do when they're doing, fitness, weight loss things, give them their own pantry and have your pantry. You never open up that pantry that's theirs. That's a key to success. So removing it from the atmosphere or making sure that the people in your household stay within their guidelines of the atmosphere. So those are just tips, for me as a health educator. And the MyFitnessPal is a huge, huge thing because it will remind you. Mine sends little notifications every day. You haven't logged your breakfast. You haven't logged. Because if you don't know how many calories you're eating, how are you going to cut back on them? So 3,500 calories a pound. Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
you can team up on that app. So like we could remind each other, like you haven't eaten enough or you need to do some exercise. So you can actually team up with a friend, which is
we should do that. We should get a MyFitnessPal buddy system on Sash Soundings. I will organize it. It'd be fun.
Exactly. But I need to tell you about this time last year and how I was feeling.
Oh, okay. Yes.
That was a bit of an interesting one. So I lost the 176 pounds and then I was left with a lot of skin.
Ah.
So I had the good old, we call it the apron. Do you know what, like,
Yes, we
is
do
it a
call it that.
stomach apron? Okay, good,
Yep.
good. So
We call it a
I
tummy
had,
tuck. Tummy tuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
what isn't it? I'm not even, abdominoplasty. Had an
Okay.
abdominoplasty, and effectively I had a breast reduction because it got rid of the excess skin around my
Okay.
breasts as well. So
Okay.
those had those at the end of November last year. So this time last year, I was
Wow.
not moving very quickly. And they literally, it was right around. So right around my back, right around my stomach. They cut, take away the skin, restitch you up. So I did not move very far for a good 6 weeks.
Wow. Does it go all the way around?
It's
Like
got about
around?
right
Mhm.
around, it's about an inch that's still attached.
Right.
So
Wow.
it's very interesting. So
What was
they
your
took away
recovery
pieces.
time? What was
Um, to be honest, it's the full recovery is 12 to 18 months. I've just hit 12 months and I still have
Wow.
numbness in my leg and in my stomach.
Okay. Wow.
So it's a long time. But work-wise and things, I was off for 2.5 months. It's a big surgery.
Wow. So you had it all
Yeah.
done at the same time?
Yeah, those two done at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. And so do you have to be a certain kind of candidate? Is there certain things you
Yeah.
have to do toning wise or any exercise beforehand or after, or how does that
Not
work?
really. I think after, you've just got to be careful on the muscles because they had stitched all my stomach muscles back together after having children and did all that. So if you can't do much for the 12 months
Oh,
physically
wow.
through those stomach muscles for a bit.
Okay.
Um, but to be a candidate, you have to have maintained your weight for at least a year. So
Wow.
your weight has to be stable for that year before they'll allow that sort of surgery to take place. And that's here. I don't know what the rules are in other
Right.
places, but
Now, does it,
yeah.
I mean, just not to go graphic, but like, do you wear a bikini versus a one piece now?
I would certainly like to when this weather
Okay.
warms up. I do have obviously a scar that literally runs right around,
Okay.
but it tends to be under sort of the bikini
The
bottom
bikini
line.
line,
So
right?
yeah, so that's good.
Okay.
I have a brand new belly button. I have
Oh,
a designer belly button.
all
So
right.
that's, I know, because they removed the last one.
Oh,
So, it's very
interesting.
interesting. I know.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, like, tan wise, will it tan different? Or I'm asking all these
Oh,
weird questions. I'm
you
sorry.
are. It was kind of weird because they take the skin up here and they pull that down. So I had a mole quite high up here, and
Uh-huh.
now it's like really low down, and
Oh,
so it's like mentally it's really weird because you remember seeing that there, and now it's way down here, and you think, how did that happen? Yeah,
wow. Yeah, your
yeah.
skin is stretchy. Your skin can do all kinds of weird things. Like, really. Like I have a mole right here, and during gravity, of course, it's falling. It can't get up. But
Gravity's a fine thing.
but but so interesting. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm very interested in how that all works. And so in Australia, I mean, are there different things? I mean, I know you guys have different kind of healthcare. How does that work? I mean, was it elective or was it something you had
Yeah.
to
So I paid for that
oh, you paid
surgery.
for it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You can go on waiting lists and things because it is considered to be a medically necessary surgery
Yeah.
because that skin, without being graphic, is it's gross. Like it's
Right.
hot. We get 40 degrees over here. It gets rashy. It's hard to keep clean. So many different sort of reasons why
Wow.
that needed. The amount of things
Okay.
like belly button infections that I would get. Um,
Wow. Okay.
so yeah,
So
it was for those reasons. Yeah.
okay. So I mean, I know you talked about being size 16, size, throughout, and then size 24, of course, after you had children, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever recognize, because I'm just asking you this because I had the weird body dysmorphia where I thought I was skinnier than I was. I had the opposite.
Okay.
I had the
Yeah.
opposite. Well, I had both. I had the body image where I was thinner than I thought I was, but I was always dieting. And then I switched somehow after I had my kids and thought I was thinner than I actually was. So I don't know, how that works in the brain and the emotions, but I mean, did you have that? Did you just not recognize how you were gaining the weight? I mean,
Probably not when I was bigger. Like I was always, I don't know, I was always comfortable being big. Like it was never an issue. And I always felt like I looked okay. And I, as I was, when the kids were younger, I'd work in plus size retail stores. So we'd learn how to dress it properly. So I never felt like it was an issue. It's
right.
harder, it's harder for me now to pick up a small size
Mhm.
than it is and sort of go, okay, that's the size I need. I go for the bigger size still.
Right.
So yeah, I've probably got the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's a weird shift. So, um, I thank you for sharing your story. If somebody's watching right now and you are struggling with your weight, is there a overweight mark that you have to be before they'll do that surgery?
I think it depends on where you are and what the health program's like in the different places. But over here, you need to have a BMI, a body mass index of
Mhm.
30 or higher.
30 or higher. Okay. And 30
Mine
is not
was
that much, honestly.
no,
It's not.
52, I think I started at.
Right, right.
Mm.
So do you have to see a surgeon or a doctor now regularly? And how many times?
I don't anymore.
Oh, you
So
don't?
after no, no,
Ah,
unless I have issues, I can call him and get an appointment. But as long as my weight continues to be stable, I don't need to go back.
okay. So anybody watching, you would suggest this to someone? You would obviously.
Oh God, I wish I'd done it so much earlier. I really do. I sort of I look at how I play with my little niece and nephew now, and I realize that I actually missed out on playing with my kids that way.
Oh,
And and I didn't realize I did at the
right.
time.
You don't.
So,
Yeah. Because
and
like
I
you
played
said,
with
you
my kids, but I
compensate.
just played differently,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right.
So
Oh. So emotionally now, and then we're going to go back to the emotions because whenever you reach a goal,
yeah,
now that you've reached that goal, now what? Like do you
mm,
have something else that's in that you're going to look towards to reach now? Um, what's your
I
next
think
goal?
I have a bucket list of things I want to do. So I want to do stand up paddleboarding. I want to go down the side of a building, abseil down the side of a building.
What?
Yeah,
You want to
just
go down
really,
like Spider-Man or
yeah, I do.
Batman or any of the mans? Superman?
There's a few things like that I want to do,
Wow,
which I wouldn't
oh,
have done
propelling.
before.
Isn't it called is it
Yeah,
called propelling?
something like that.
Yeah.
Um, but like you were saying about the seat things, it's these little things like when you get in a plane. I know the first time I got in a plane, didn't need the extension bit, pulled my seatbelt tight and had a gap. I took photos of it. I was
Yes.
that excited,
Yes.
and it's enjoying those little moments and really really appreciating that journey.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, let's see. Thank you guys for commenting. I really appreciate it. My friend Nora joined us. Randall said, "Guy who guessed your weight at the fair thought I was 200. I was 235. Do you have rocks in your pocket?" So it's distributed. Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
even though it's distributed, you can still the difference in my knees between the time that I was heavier to now is
Oh
huge.
yeah.
Like I started
Yeah.
running last year, at 52. What the who starts running at 52? Somebody that's lost the weight, somebody that
Someone that can.
somebody that's
Yeah.
I was like, the sky's the limit. It's funny that mindset change, how it can open up other things. Did you see that it opened up other things in your life, just not just with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how much easier is it to actually exercise?
Yeah.
Like, and how it feels so different. Like, exercise is a struggle at that kind of weight.
Yeah.
It really is. And
Yes.
no wonder we don't enjoy it. It hurts.
Yeah.
But you try to do it now, it's actually quite freeing.
Yeah. It is.
It's
Yes.
very different.
What the first thing that I purchased was one of those balls, those exercise balls, and some dumbbells. And it's like
Okay.
just even that simple thing, because you can do lots of things with those two pieces of equipment, fitness wise,
Yep.
and it just gets you stretched out and it just gets you moving again. Don't
Right.
have to, you don't, like you said, small goals.
Yep.
If you can't walk 2 blocks down in front of your house,
Yep.
start there.
Yep.
You don't have
Walk
to start
one.
with a mile.
Mm,
You don't have to start with the whole thing. You're not
yeah.
running a marathon. And the next thing you know, you'll be surprised if that you'll even want to run a marathon and that you can actually do it. So definitely
I
you
had
are
a
so inspiring, Rosie. Thank you
Oh
so much
gosh. You know
for joining.
what?
Huh?
I was gonna say I had this friend that would take me to boot camps. Do you have boot camps
Oh
there?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And and
CrossFit.
I just
Ooh.
couldn't do it. Yeah, but like you said, don't go extreme because that will just put
No.
you off.
No,
And
CrossFit.
that's all it did.
CrossFit is, I mean, if you can withstand that, if you can withstand CrossFit like from the get-go, I'm good for you. Like
Yeah.
awesome. I can't even do CrossFit at this point, because of some of the plyo stuff and my knee injury and some of the things, like you're saying, take small steps, 20 to 30 minutes of exercise every day doing something, whether that be walking, the treadmill, if you have one. If you don't, go outside, like you said, walk
Vacuum the
a couple
house.
blocks, do something, if you don't have free weights, cans of vegetables. Seriously, cans of vegetables. Not kidding. You just take them and you just do stuff with them. Like, believe it or not, just those different motions and getting your
Yeah.
muscles going. So, it is a mindset change though. I'm going to tell you that, but if you're not ready, you're not going to do it. And until you make that mindset change, whether that be something drastic, your doctor came back and said you have to because of your health. You need to do what you need to do to sustain your life. We need to do these things for ourselves first, though.
Absolutely.
That's the other key is even though you mentioned doing it because you wanted to be around, you really had to do it for yourself first, right?
Yeah.
I mean, looking inside yourself and let me ask you, do you have a different confidence level now?
I think like this is a question I actually ask myself all the time because I always feel like I was that same sort of bubbly person that would, this time of year would have the antlers on and do all that and I still do all that. But I probably am more confident again, you know, um, probably around a wider group of people. When
Right.
before I would probably stick to my group. Now I'm like, I just don't care, you know.
Right. Right. It does give you a little you skipping your step maybe, or, you
Yeah,
know,
something like that. Yep.
because, well, at the end of the day, who needs to be proud of you?
Me.
Yes, exactly. You know, that's the thing, is having that confidence and liking yourself, loving yourself. You have to like and love yourself enough to do those things for yourself. Invest
Hmm.
in yourself. I'm not talking about a narcissistic type of thing. I'm not talking about ignoring the people in your life. I'm just talking about if all you're doing is focusing on other people and you're not giving yourself that love, how can you give that love out? How can you continually be confident in that person? And I want to show the picture of you that I have that you sent me, the before and after. So I want you guys to see this. It's a great picture. Look at that. So on the left there, Rosie, and
Yep.
about how much do you think you weighed there?
That would have been about that 330 pounds.
Okay.
So they were two different family photo shoots that we had done.
Wow.
And they would have been about 2 years apart.
Wow. 2 years apart. That is amazing. Look at you. I mean, that's great. But like you said, I mean, honestly, the lady on the left is just as pretty as the lady on the right. You're just as
And
beautiful, you
thanks.
know?
And you know what? I felt it. Like it,
Yeah.
honestly,
I can
I
see
was
it in your
me.
face. Yeah.
I was me. My husband loved me.
That's
Nobody,
amazing.
nobody else had to. I loved me,
Right.
you know.
But like you said, you had that shift because of something that happened with a family member,
Yeah.
and the health piece came into it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that's what happens, is that, we have to be shaken out of something
Hmm. I
to
had to
start
give
thinking.
myself more time.
Yeah.
I had to give that time to me instead of everybody else,
Yeah.
and realize that I was worth that.
And so how are people now with you? It's been 4 years, right?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
how is that going now?
I think most people are used to the new me. I still will cross paths with people that I haven't seen for some time, and they won't recognize me. I literally have to say, "Hi," and they're like, "Do I know you?"
Oh my
And
gosh.
and I will go, "Yes, remember I was such and such at such and such." And they're like, "Oh my God." And I get the big hug. But they
Yes.
literally cannot recognize me. But I'm at a new workplace now, so they only know me this way.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah,
So
it's definitely interesting.
so I'm gonna so and I always do Sandy's last word, and I'm gonna
Right.
use somebody that we know that's a friend of ours. You're gonna laugh when you see this.
Here's the deal.
That's my Sandy's final word. Here's the deal. But I would
Mm-hmm.
like you to end my here's the deal with something inspirational that to say to anybody who's struggling today, that really, just doesn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
get started and can't move to that next square.
One thing, just change one thing. That's all
Okay.
you've got to do. It can be so little. It can, honestly, I'm going to eat one piece of toast instead of two. It can be, I'm going to put 1 teaspoon less sugar in my coffee. It just one thing, and make
Yes.
that a permanent change, and
Yes.
then add another.
Yes. Great advice. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Rosie.
You're
I really,
welcome.
really appreciate you being on my show tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me take a look at the comments. Somebody did have a comment for you. Yes, she was. She's still the same awesome chick, just smaller with more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Don't you have
Yeah.
some kind of, even as boxing, don't you have a boxing partner?
Yes, I haven't done that for a while though, but yes, yeah, boxing and just don't get so tired. It's great.
Yeah. So Randall
Yeah.
says, "Y'all rock. Thanks for sharing." And Michelle is giving us some awesome celebratory emojis. So thank you
Great.
guys for joining us tonight. Thank you guys, and thank you, Rosie. I really, really appreciate you. And
No
I
worries.
hope
Thanks for having me on.
yes, and I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, because this is my last show before Christmas. And I hope that you celebrate and spread the joy and the love to everyone. Thank you guys. Have a nice evening. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks, Rosie.